Good afternoon. Woo, don't want that in there. Hi, this is Julie with Balanced Life with Julie, regenerative health practitioner and holistic nutritionist. I wanted to come on live today to talk to you about a very, very important topic: nervous system regulation. Why does it matter? What exactly does it mean? And how you can help support your nervous system to better health and well-being. So, yeah, we're going to talk about that. But before we get into all that, I am a regenerative health practitioner. I've reversed hypothyroidism and Hashimoto's in my body 100% holistically. I have been completely off of all thyroid medication now for over 5 years. Something that I was told by many doctors that I would have to be on medication for life, and that there was no way for me to actually regenerate my thyroid. So here I am over 5 years later, nice and healthy and feeling absolutely amazing and very happy that I don't have to take medication every day. So I wanted to today go into nervous system regulation, because this is actually a really, really key component of healing. If your nervous system is not regulated, no matter, I should just like kind of caveat that slightly. If your nervous system isn't regulated, your body is not going to be able to fully heal. And so some of the protocols that you're doing are not going to be as effective. And the reason is that when your body is in a state of fight or flight, which is what we're talking about when the nervous system is not regulated, when your body is in a state of fight or flight, it can't heal. It doesn't have the capacity to heal. So this is going to be like a little bit like broad strokes, because I don't want to get in the weeds in terms of explaining all the ins and outs of the nervous system, because sometimes that can get a little bit heady for people who are not that much into science. But I do want to give you enough information of, like, the two, well, actually, we have three different types of nervous systems, but I'll talk about the two main ones. And I'll also give you some tips and tools of how to work towards getting your nervous system back in balance. So we have two different kinds of nervous system, or three different kinds rather. We've got our sympathetic, so we've got our sympathetic nervous system, which is our fight or flight response. That is the response that kicks in when we feel that we are in danger. Okay. Then we have our parasympathetic nervous system, which is our rest and digest response. And that is the state ideally that we want to be in. And then we've got our enteric nervous system, which governs our GI system. So those are the three different types of systems. And the reason it really matters what kind of response that you're in is that if you're in a state of constant stress and your nervous system is dysregulated, what that means is that you are actually pulling on your B vitamins and your nutrient stores. Your food is probably not getting digested as well or as effectively. I know of people who, when they're in a state of extreme stress, they either don't feel hungry, or when they eat, the food passes right through them, like nothing digests, because of what's happening, the response that they're having. Now, our sympathetic nervous system, our fight or flight response is beneficial, right? Like, it's there to alert us when there is danger, and it helps to kick our body into high gear, right? We get like this flush of hormones to get us away from whatever that danger is that we might be facing. Now, the downside is that in modern life, everyone, and I mean pretty much everyone, is in a constant state of fight or flight. They are in a low level stress state or even a high level stress state all the time. And our body is not designed to be in that state, because if we're in that state constantly, it actually wears and tears on our organs, pulls on our nutrient stores, really creates a lot of imbalance within the body. And it makes true healing absolutely impossible, right? And so, this is why it's important to understand what exactly is going on in your body and to utilize tools and methods to help your nervous system to come back into balance. The other thing is that if you are someone who has gone through a lot of trauma throughout your life, then what ends up happening is that your nervous system can get locked in a state where every situation creates a stress response in you, right? And when that happens, it's very hard, or it can be challenging to get your body to calm itself, to relax itself. Um, it can even be in a state of constant, like in the background, like me. A lot of people aren't even conscious or aware of it. Like if they've gone through extreme trauma and they're no longer in that situation, what ends up happening is they're no longer in the situation anymore. They feel, they're in a safe situation, but in the background, their nervous system is constantly firing a stress response, right? And if they don't address that, if they don't help regulate their nervous system back into homeostasis, it's gonna create chaos over time. It's gonna make healing impossible. And I will just speak from like what I've gone through in my personal experience. I had a very, very traumatic childhood. So I spent my entire childhood in fight or flight. I spent most of my adulthood, I would say until like maybe 4 or 5 years ago, I spent my adulthood in fight or flight as well. And when my husband passed away, I don't share this a lot, but when my husband passed away, I was the person who came home and found him. So it was a very, very traumatizing event. It was so traumatizing that I actually felt like completely outside my body for a long time. And even though I had the tools of yoga and meditation, I was not able to calm and settle my body down no matter what I did. I was going to massage, I was going to osteopathy, I was trying to do all of these different things to try to regulate my nervous system, and it didn't really work. Now, as time went on, as I did various practices, I was able to get my nervous system to settle a little more, a little more, a little more. It's been a very patient process for me, but even until recently, my nervous system wasn't all the way regulated. Now, thankfully, because I've done a daily meditation and yoga practice for years and years and years, that definitely has been one of my primary tools to help my body regulate itself, right? And I've utilized other tools, which I'll talk about. But I want to talk about the parasympathetic nervous system. I want to talk about the vagus nerve, and I want to talk about why it's really, really important to get your body back into balance. Honestly, the, the first thing I'm going to say is like, when you get your nervous system back into balance, you feel so much better. It is completely profound how good you feel in your body. So when we're talking about nervous system regulation, we actually want to switch off that stress response. We want to turn off that danger signal so that we're not, in this like complete panic mode. And unfortunately, a lot of people, especially these days, live their entire life in a highly, highly stressed state. And it's damaging their health. They may not be aware of it, but it is damaging their health. So we want to be in the parasympathetic nervous system response because it's going to, number one, you're going to feel better. It's going to help regulate your mood, but it's going to help your food to digest better. It's going to help your body to function better. You're no longer going to be pulling on like the nutrient stores and really like stressing out your organs. It's going to feel better overall. But here's the interesting thing. 75% of the nerve tissue in your parasympathetic nervous system is your vagus nerve. And it literally runs through the entire, like pretty much the entire upper body. And so it impacts your heart and it impacts your digestive system. It impacts all of these different points within your body. So it's really, really important when we're talking about nervous system regulation, we're really talking about the vagus nerve and getting the vagus nerve back into balance. So if you stay in that fight or flight response and the vagus nerve is not online, this can lead to digestive issues. It can lead to heart issues, definitely lung issues, respiratory problems, mental health problems, which goes hand in hand with the digestive system, because let's remember that 40% of the dopamine in your body is actually made in your gut. And something like 80% of the serotonin in your body is made in your gut. So if your vagus nerve is not functioning properly and it's affecting your digestive system, it's also going to lead to issues with your mood. It can also lead to problems swallowing. So having like this gag response. Sleep disorders are common, headaches, migraines, hormonal imbalances, and as well as emotional dysregulation. So these are the issues. Now, when it comes to your vagus nerve, there are ways to work on this. And, you can do neck stretches where you're stretching both sides of your neck. That helps get into the vagus nerve. There are ways of breathing that you can help support your vagus nerve. The other thing is things like yoga, meditation definitely help in terms of lowering your stress response. That doesn't necessarily help in terms of the vagus nerve. It depends on what kinds of poses you're doing. But just in terms of settling your nervous system, yoga, meditation, and tapping are three amazing tools. And then for myself recently, what I started doing was I actually started working with molecular hydrogen. That I've definitely noticed a shift in my nervous system since I started doing that. And the company that I'm partnered with, they came out recently with some molecular hydrogen tablets, and I started utilizing those. And that was kind of like the next level in terms of my nervous system kind of calming down and settling. And the thing that I can say about that is that what I noticed is that things that would normally stress me out, I wasn't getting stressed out about. And then very, very recently, I actually started testing something that addresses the vagus nerve directly. And I can tell you from the very first time that I actually tried it, within a couple of minutes, I felt the difference. And it's been incredibly powerful. In fact, because of the trauma that I went through when my husband passed away, I've had this pain in the left side of my body for years. And even though I eat very clean, right? I'm on superfoods and whole foods, and I take very good care of my body. I'm doing the biohacks, I'm doing molecular hydrogen. I am mindful of my sleep. I'm mindful of getting in movement. I do all the things to support my health. And what I found with this particular pain is that meditation and yoga definitely helped, but it didn't completely get rid of it. And my healthy lifestyle helped, but it was something that I was having to live with. And all I can tell you is that since I brought in this support for my vagus nerve, the pain has gone down by like 95%. It's like the first time in years that I've actually had relief. And now that I have relief, I'm noticing how I was moving my body differently to try to deal with that pain. And now that that pain's not there anymore, I have a lot more freedom in how I move and how I feel in my body. So, all of the tools that I utilize, like in terms of the molecular hydrogen and even this new tool that I'm using, are going to be on my website under recommended products. But in terms of just like the basics of regulating the nervous system, some of the things that you can utilize is yoga, breath work, meditation. Those are really, really powerful tools. Making sure that you're optimizing your sleep, because when we sleep, it helps your body to reduce stress. When your body is not getting enough sleep, it triggers a stress response. So it puts you even more into fight or flight. And what it can also do is to trigger cravings for sugar, for carbs, for caffeine, for things that are not helpful to your overall health and vitality. So very, very important to just start doing some of those basics. And if you are someone who has gone through a lot of trauma in your life, then I definitely recommend bringing in some of the supports that I'm doing, because the yoga and the breath work is not going to be quite enough to get you there. I know because I'm somebody who's utilized those tools for years. And as much as I've utilized those tools, they were not enough to get me to where I needed to go in terms of regulating my nervous system. And yeah, it just feels so much better in your body when you're like calm and centered. Like it's a kind of calm that most people unfortunately have never experienced. And we live in this culture where we're encouraged to go, go, go and do, do, do. And our value is only as is kind of tied to what we do. It's not like we're not valued as individuals, as human beings, which is completely incorrect. Like all of us have value because we're here at this time, and there's nothing to prove. You don't have to have a special title, in order to have value. You have value because you're here and you're breathing and you're meant to be here. So if you are somebody who's struggling with chronic health issues, definitely looking at this key component of your health, regulating the nervous system, it's going to help you to quantum leap your health, right? This is something that I wish on my personal health journey that I had known so much sooner, because I think to myself, like, maybe if I had had this knowledge 6 years ago, I could have helped my body to get healthier faster instead of like, I mean, everything is divine timing, right? Everything shows up in our life as it's meant to, when it's meant to. But it's definitely drawn out my own health journey. So even though I've been off all thyroid medication for over 5 years, I still didn't feel like 100% in my body because of what's been going on behind the scenes with my nervous system. I I was still living with some pain that I didn't like. And so, if I had some of these tools, these modalities earlier, I'm sure I would be in a different place when it comes to my health. So when it comes to chronic illness, yes, we have to address the chemical and the heavy metal toxicities. That's absolutely important. Have to address diet and lifestyle. But along with that, you have to also regulate your nervous system. That is a key component. If you bypass that and you start to really focus on the detox and the diet change, you could do all that, but you may not quite get to where you want to go when it comes to your health. So, for myself personally, as a practitioner, when I start working with people one on one, we always focus on regulating the nervous system first, and then starting to bring in some of the other tools like nervous system regulation first, then making some of those dietary changes, and then going deeper into those dietary changes, and then moving into parasite cleansing. So we don't start with parasite cleansing right off the bat. And we also don't do that deeper work right off the bat until we really get the nervous system to calm down. And what that does is that it makes the work that we're doing together that much more potent, that much more powerful. And it also shortens protocols, because once somebody is in a regulated state, everything that we're doing just is that much more effective. And when it's more effective, then that means less time. So maybe a protocol that normally would be a year long because of, somebody's dealing with multiple chronic health issues, it shortens to 9 months. Or, if somebody has a couple of very, very serious issues, maybe their protocol would have been 9 months and we can shorten it to 6 months, right? So it really ultimately helps the person who is dealing with whatever issue get healthier faster, and it makes everything more efficient. So if you're watching this video and you know somebody that could really benefit from this information, make sure that you share this video with them. If you're not subscribed to the channel, make sure that you subscribe to the channel. And if you're wanting to work with me, you can work with me one-on-one, or you can also join my group program, Elevate, where I go more in depth into all of the different things: nervous system regulation, EMFs, parasites, diet change. All of it is a lot more in depth than I go into in these videos. I do these videos to share information and to really put this knowledge into the world so that more people are aware of the body's capacity to heal itself, and also more people are aware of the different tools that are available for healing. So I'm going to quickly shift gears, because along with that, one of my primary tools has been gratitude, practicing gratitude. Mindset shift is as important to healing as everything else. So, one of the things that I always encourage my clients to do is to work on their mindset, because if your mindset is in a negative place, it's going to make the protocols less effective. And one of the most powerful tools that I love to utilize every single day, and I use it all day long, is the practice of gratitude. And I started practicing gratitude, daily gratitude, like 11 years ago. I was working privately with a coach at the time. I was depressed. I was newly widowed. So I was living with a lot of grief. I had a lot of pain and inflammation in my body. I had no job. I had no vision of creating my business. That wasn't even a thought on my mind because of the state that I was in. And this coach really encouraged me to start practicing gratitude. And it took me a little while, right? I thought it was kind of woo-woo. And then she had given me a journal. She gifted me a journal. And finally, I started doing it. I started writing down at the end of every single day 3 or 4 things that happened over the course of my day that I was grateful for. And as I started to do that practice, I noticed that more things would come into my life for me to be grateful for: opportunities, synchronicities, that kind of all of this kind of stuff that I wasn't expecting. And it also helped to change my mood. I went from being like depressed to starting to feel better about myself. Now, of course, I like to say that back in those days, I was a civilian and I didn't know what I didn't know. And so I was kind of learning as I was going. I was kind of like collecting the breadcrumbs. Now I understand from as a practitioner, having done deep dives into all of these different sort of things, that gratitude is immensely powerful because what it does is it raises the vibration and the frequency within the body. And it really rewires our brain in a powerful way. And it works. It's something so simple, so basic, and so maybe you're watching this and you're thinking to yourself, well, I don't have anything to be grateful for. Like, fine, good for you, Julie, but my life is in chaos. We can all be grateful for something. You can be grateful for the fact that you woke up this morning, that you have breath in your body, that you are alive. You can go for a walk and look at nature and be grateful for nature. Maybe you have a dog or a cat. You can be grateful for their companionship. uh, find things to be grateful for and write them down. The secret is to actually write them down and do it at the end of the day. And as you're going to sleep, allow yourself to feel the sensations of gratitude within your body. That is what takes a gratitude practice to the next level. And if you can train yourself, I would also train yourself to, when you get up in the morning, before you get up and out of bed, as you're laying in bed, start thinking about things that you're grateful for, start thinking about things that you appreciate. This is all about rewiring your brain. And the more you can rewire your brain to look for the good instead of looking for what's wrong, the more good will flow to you. That is literally how it works. And try it for 30 days. Try it for 30 days, try it for 60 days, try it for 90 days. You have absolutely nothing to lose. So get yourself a journal, get yourself a pen, give it a try. And I would love to know how it goes for you. You can let me know in the comments. I love hearing from people out there that are watching these videos and being touched by this information. It's not enough to just watch the video. Put these things into action, right? Use these tools to improve the quality of your life. So on that note, I'm going to end the live. Thank you for watching. If you're watching the replay, thank you so much for watching. Subscribe to the channel if you have not already subscribed. Check out all of my links below this video, and I will see you on the next live. Bye for now.